Well, what we did was um, at last night's grassroots meeting here in the capital city, um, there was a serious workshop that was done um, for the Ummah. A lot of folks have been calling for, and last night we actually delivered. We actually gave them um, some some information on how to proceed when there is an emergency, whether it be natural disaster or contrived disaster of some other sort. What to do to secure your family. So our good family from NY Mosque number 12 came through to address particular matters for how families deal individually to address um, seeing after their family under rather immense constraints. And we presented thereafter on the issue of uh, dealing with natural disasters and other contrivances that are, well, not other, but natural disasters and contrivances from parties seeking to push particular agendas. I'll say it that way. And the result of that was I had to go and as Supreme Commander last night for the Imperial Customs Force. Now, although the issue was technically an ESA operation that we would do that under, I elected not to go in the ESA uniform. I went in the customs uniform because more often than not, that's how I would proceed anyway. Um, Securing our folks as we stabilize whatever situation we find is prevalent at the time. That being said, I covered issues regarding the prime directives, covering um, how to move as a collective as opposed to individual basis, thus um, looking at things from the departmental and sub-department issues on how folks proceed in times of crises and things of this nature. Our first responders, as some folks refer to our folks as, and other parties that would step in to make sure uh, socialization maintains, and if there's a breakdown in socialization, how we address that to basically uh, keep continuity while we restore order uh, in the middle of all the potential chaos. So we looked at the prioritization, how you prioritize things. Um, we looked at what your levels are. Are you at a level A, level B, or level C situation? Is something that requires you be at standby alert, or if you have to go to ready alert, or if it's something where you have to actually deploy out um, to secure nationals, uh, material, equipment, things of this nature. And if you have to actually do an egress operation to evacuate everybody out of the area, how to do that in an orderly and proficient manner. Uh, how to do that in a manner where um, everything is done in the most appropriate fashion, and do so in a manner where there is no room for stupidity to occur. In other words, we're not going to let folks take advantage of folks and inopportune moments for them. We don't play that game here. And so, even in times of a breakdown of order, we have order. We're not having that around here. We're not playing no nonsense. And so, you have to maintain your folks at the appropriate training levels, was what I was explaining last night during that particular presentation. And then went on to explain about the various components that folks would have to be able to move, whether it be for tactical purposes, strategic purposes, whatever the case may be. And if you're going to do those type of things, what things you have in place to make sure that everything is in a neat and tidy fashion. So if you train your folks, even your youth, to be prepared, and there are folks who have learned from lessons over the generations, and they have put those lessons to good use. We're no different. Um, it is the squirrel that puts things away to get ready for the wintertime so it can survive it. Well, in that case, situations like that, you can learn a lot from watching how squirrels move. You can learn a lot from the animals, period. When you see the animals are getting nervous, there's probably something going on in nature you need to be paying attention to. And I brought out an example last night about why we don't go into particular locations, not south of the 34th parallel and not west of 116 degrees um, longitude. Uh, Rising water levels and fault lines are serious. And I'm not putting operations in particular areas. Want to know full well in this lifetime it's going to be compromised. And so we went into those particular things and we shared with folks when you see seagulls, a saltwater bird, nesting, not visiting, but nesting 5-6 miles inland or more from the nearest body of salt water, you have to ask yourself the question, where does this bird smell the salt water that's nesting over here? Nature always tells you it's time to go. Nature always tells you to pay attention. Only question is, do you? And our folks are being removed ever increasingly further away from nature because they allow themselves to be based on who they contract with and based on what they take into their systems. Some of our folks, they forget that old adage about you are what you eat. And if you eat mental and physical and spiritual slop, well, point is and all that is, when you begin to do things in the manner outside of nature, then you lose that connection. So when folks start their day in the middle of the night, they start their new year in the dead of winter, they spring forward on their clock and everything else that takes them out of harmony with nature, well, it's easy for folks to be manipulated into other things. Consuming stuff with too much sugar or too much salt, consuming things with all these additives in that attack their central nervous system, and they're wondering why their offspring are having palsy and why their offspring are having all these issues with Down syndrome and, to a degree, autism and all these other things. Well, it's the environment that you choose to engage in and how you choose to dig your grave with your teeth because you're not eating appropriately. So you can't discuss nationality and sovereignty without discussing how to take care of yourself with egress operations, health operations, restart of your civilization in case things go haywire. These things must be ordered. They must be well planned with contingencies backing them up in case, because nothing can be static. You have to keep things in a manner where it's fluid because you simply do not know what will occur. And you have to be ready for anything and everything. And that really and truly is key. And so I can't speak for the other houses of the Moors, but for the Amexem-Moor-Empire perspective, that's how we proceed. Because for me, it's all about common sense. Because our folks, they expect the imperial government to do their job, which is to provide for them a positive and viable outcome no matter what we are faced with. And so, as they say, you really have to put in the work, and you have to maintain the work. So if you're reaping the positivity, it's because you are, in fact, sowing the positivity. So you keep sowing it, you get to keep reaping it. And I really think that folks need to pay attention to that. Because if you don't put in the effort, if you don't put in the energy, then how can you expect for anything to manifest for you? You only get out of it what you put into it.